So yesterday, I got to go to Guyman. Harper, my second granddaughter, is the XIT Little Miss Queen for the year, and so she gets to go do parades. I got to be Grandpa driving the truck in the parade, and we get to lunch, and so she loves to get my phone or her mom's phone and check out and watch videos or whatever at lunch. And so her mom said, "No, you're going to wait a little bit." And then she asked again, and then she asked again. And then finally I said, "I'll tell you what, Harper, if you can go 5 minutes without asking if you can see my phone, I'll let you see my phone. I'll start the timer now." And about 30 seconds in, "Can I have your phone?" I'm like, "Now we're going to start the timer over." And she just went on and on until she finally was frustrated and gave up. And it reminds me how terrible we are at waiting. We don't want to wait. We want what we want right now. We have a very small patience for that. Now, I got to go back. I was 21 when we got engaged, and at the time I was working on my master's degree and riding horses in Palo Duro Canyon. I was taking people on trail rides, and it was good pay for 1998. I was getting $40 a day, and you could either have breakfast or lunch for free, and I thought the world of that. My dad, he was always like, "What are you going to do? Like, you going to ride horses for $40 a day and be married?" And now that I have these young boys getting married, I understand what my dad was going through. Like, what are y'all going to do? And what had happened in January of '98, before I got engaged, I put in a resume to Kingswood United Methodist Church in Clovis to be their youth pastor. And January went by, and February went by, and March went by. And honestly, at the time, I just was patient with the Lord. I could wait on the Lord. I didn't get a phone call for that interview until August 1st. Like, we didn't have email, or if we did, I didn't know how to use it. Like, I was just sitting there waiting on the Lord. And what I had hoped would happen happened just like that. Still young, I'm 22, 23 now, and we had met some people at Central Methodist here in Dalhart, and I met them in the summer of '99, and they're like, "Hey, we got to hire you to move to Dalhart." And so in July, I meet them, I go interview in August, and again, crickets. Until December, get a phone call, and we moved up here. What was cool is in the meantime, I applied for another job at Andrews, and that guy that wanted to hire me in Andrews then moves to Borger, and after I got to Dalhart, he hired me in Borger. As time goes on, I can look back and think about my impatience and some of my heartache in waiting on the Lord, and I see that he's lining things up sometimes. Sometimes I give up on him, but he's trying to put something together. He's weaving relationships. He's weaving timing. He's doing that. And today I want to talk about God doing miracles in your life and why we don't always ask for miracles in our life. Psalm 27:14 says this: "Wait for the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord." Isaiah 40:31 says this: "But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." I think we often remember the end of that verse. Yeah, like, I want to mount up with wings like eagles. I want to run and not be weary. But the beginning is this: for those who wait on the Lord. This word in Hebrew, wait, is not ask and then move on. It means wait with an expectation. When JB was probably 2 and 3 years old, I know he was still in diapers. We were living in Borger, and he just loved my dad. My dad was Pop. Probably loved him. They had fun, but Pop, that's one of the only words he could say. He'd wake up in the morning, he'd look at my wife, and he'd say, "Pop, Pop." And she'd say, "Okay, I'll call him." So she'd call my dad. If you're ever waiting on my dad, you know what it means to wait. Dad would answer, yeah, I got some things I got to do, and I'll come get him. And sometimes it'd be 3-4 hours before my dad would be able to show up to come get him. And JB would stand in the window of our home. Mom would say, well, you can go play until he gets here. It might be a while. And he'd just stand there and say, Pop, that's what waiting expectantly looks like. It's like, I know my pop is coming. I know it's going to happen, and I don't want to miss it when it happens, so I'm going to stand right here, and I'm going to focus on what is in my future. All week long, I've been thinking about miracles, been getting ready for this, and we say miracles, we say supernatural. And I went and looked up the word supernatural because I think sometimes or often or maybe all the time, we are missing out on the best that God has for us because we misunderstand supernatural. Here we go. Here's the definition. It's a manifestation or an event that's attributed to some force beyond scientific understanding and the laws of nature. I hate this definition. What it means is once science understands it, we no longer consider it a miracle. Years ago, a baby being born was a miracle, and it still is. But in our minds, it just happens so often, and like, oh yeah, that's just part of natural. It's not part of natural. Two cells get together, and 9 months later, this human with eyes and hands and feet that begins to move and learn and do things. I mean, it's a miracle. We are surrounded every day by miracles that I say we take for granted. And the trouble is, God's not frustrated that you take it for granted. You just miss out on some of the best things He has for you because so many things, so many miracles just come easy. When we get done today, you'll walk out to your car in some shoes that didn't used to exist. Used to, a pair of shoes would have been a miracle. Like, whoa, holy cow, I don't have to have calluses on my feet. I don't have to smell like that. I can have these things on my feet. You'll walk out. You'll probably look at your watch. That's a miracle. And check your phone. That's a miracle. And hop in your car and you'll turn a thing. And if you didn't drive your dad's stuff in the 80s, you don't even realize what a miracle it is that starts up every time. You don't have to pump it and count and hold the blinker just right. And, what would your dad say? No, shift your hip a little. Okay, now it'll start. Now it'll start. We just live in this world where it's just miracles all the time, every day. But we don't consider it supernatural because we now understand it. Penicillin didn't used to exist. You get an infection now, and I can just go in and the miracle of antibiotics, which God planted in somebody's head. That's how I know these things are miracles. We don't have ideas. God drops you ideas. I was telling Wednesday night, I'm always been into motors. My dad and grandpa are mechanics and motorcycles and all that. The combustible engine that you have in your car was invented in the 1800s on 3 different continents in the same year. God dropped that idea to 3 different people on 3 different continents. Nothing's new under the sun. Everything we experience is miraculous. And I tell you this because I want you to get fired up about the things He hadn't done yet. Lamentations 3:25. The Lord is good to those who wait on Him, to the soul who seeks Him. Psalm 33:20. Our soul waits for the Lord. He is our help and our shield. For our heart is glad in Him because we trust His holy name. Let your steadfast love, O Lord, be upon us, even as we hope in you. Hope is believing in something that hasn't happened yet. I had to look it up this week just so I'd know today, but it was 13 miles from where the Israelites lived in Egypt to the Red Sea. From here to Hartley. That's a long way when you got to carry stuff and you don't have vehicles, you don't have camels, that's a long way. Imagine you and I being in that place. You've been in slavery, bondage for years. You just watch God move, and then the next thing you know, Moses says, follow me, we're getting out of here. And we're going to walk 13 miles that way to a place you can't cross. I think there would be some murmuring. Like, I don't think that's the best direction to go. Why don't we wait here? Why don't we just stall here until God does what he's going to do? Send a runner, and when there's a way, come back and tell me and I'll go. That's not what they did. They had the kind of faith where they went to the edge of that water with an enemy chasing behind them and waited for the Lord. They think where they crossed was somewhere between a half a mile and 5 miles long. Can you imagine standing at the water, seeing the enemy coming behind you? In front of you is death, behind you is death, and you wait on the Lord. Then that moment happens where the waters open up. And I know it seems good when you read it. You think everybody's like, oh, good, great answer. Let's run through this. Can you imagine walled up water on each side? And even some wise guy's going, yeah, we're going to run in there. And if we don't drown, the enemy's just going to chase us right through here. Miracles. Miracles that you couldn't have seen if you'd have been sitting at home waiting on a runner to tell you it was there. There's an element of faith that happens in miracles that we have to step out into that water. There's an element of miracles where we've got to ask for it, and then we've got to go prepare ourselves. I imagine any of you that you feel like God's called you to something, whether it's ministry or nursing, or like God's called me to do something new in my life. And you go, okay, I hear you, Lord. And as soon as the opportunity exists, I'll go get myself prepared. That's what we tend to do. What if you believed in him so much? What if you believed in his miracles so much that you got called to do something, and there was no opportunity, but you went and got the education you needed, or got the certification you needed, or just got yourself prepared? And somebody's going, why are you doing that? And you would say, because one day God's going to open a door, and when that door opens, I got to be ready to run through it. It's a different mentality. I want to remind you, God's not frustrated with you. He's not mad at you. He's not withholding from you. We just miss out on some great opportunities because we're not standing in the window ready to go. JB apparently had a fear that if he wasn't standing there whenever Pop showed up, he'd miss it. He didn't want to miss it, and guess what? I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss it when God does the next thing, then it opens the next door, whether it's great or whether it's small. I want to give him credit, and I want to run through that thing and just trust that waiting on him works. What I didn't know, moving from Clovis to here for just a small stint, I'd be meeting people that were going to later set up this church. I look back and go, well, you could have just left me in Dalhart and we could have done it. And he's like, yeah, that wouldn't have worked that way. I needed to get that rolling, send you off to go get ready so that you could come back and do this thing. And he says, Terry, you're too ignorant to understand if I mapped it all out. And I just accept that. If he had showed me my life, he had showed me everything that I do today, every experience I have, every relationship I have, if he had said, okay, here's the book on it, you go memorize the book, and then let's go do it, I'd have messed the whole thing up. There's something to waiting on him and trusting him. James says it this way. Well, here, let me do Exodus 14. I got a bunch of these verses because it's all through the Bible about waiting on him. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Psalm 37:34. Wait for the Lord and keep his way, and he will exalt you to inherit the land. These are not small phrases. He's not like, I'm going to make it all better. I'm going to kiss it. Like you can inherit the land. You can have things that you never thought you could have. You can go be things that you never thought you could be. James says it this way. James, the brother of Jesus, he's talking to the people in Christ, and he says, you receive not because you ask not. That's New King James Version. He's like, the limitation on what God's doing in your life is based on what you're asking for. I made a list of some of the reasons we don't ask. That's what I find is we just don't ask. Some of us don't ask because we don't feel like we're worthy. Some of us don't ask because, like, I'm not going to ask for that because I don't deserve that. I would tell you that that is a pride that goes beyond regular pride. To think that you're worthy of the next breath, but not worthy of that miracle. To think that you're worthy of the bread and water that you receive, but not worthy of that. To think that you're worthy of forgiveness, but not worthy of that. I'm telling you, at the top of the list in miracles is God forgiving us, God saving us. That's the top. Anything under that is lower. Any miracle He would do for you is less than forgiveness and less than salvation. So if you believe that God can save you and God can forgive you, then you should believe that God can open any door, that God can do things, manifest things, make active things that you can't even imagine. Some of us ask not because we think we're not worthy. Some of us ask not and we say, well, I just don't want to bug God. He's got that thing in Iran going on. There's hungry people over in Africa. He's busy. Well, again, this is just our small mind not recognizing that He is the God of all. He put everything into motion. He caused, like we sang, the sun to rise this morning. He keeps that sun burning at the right temperature so that we don't burn up and we don't freeze. I think that He can handle anything that you throw out there. He desires to bless you. He desires to open doors. He desires to help you inherit what is yours. He loves that. He loves you. Sometimes we ask not because we're complacent with His power. We're like, yeah, I don't know about that. I believe He can do this, this, and this, but I don't know if He can do that. I go back to Peter. I imagine the other disciples were going, what are you doing? They're out in this storm. They think they're going to die. Here comes Jesus walking to them, and the storm calms, and most of them are going, oh, what a miracle. Thank you, Lord. And Peter's like, I'm going to one-up that. Can I walk out there with you, Lord? I imagine the other disciples are poking, like, what are you doing? We don't have time for this. It's really a pointless miracle. It's not even a miracle that changes anybody's lives. It's not a miracle where there's salvations. He's just like, I want to walk on water with you. And Jesus says, okay, come out here with me. He had no boundaries on what He knew Jesus could do. He can do it all. I just have to wait on Him. We become accustomed to these daily miracles, and some of us fool ourselves and be like, I don't even know if I believe God does miracles. I'm telling you, your life has been full of them, whether you recognize them or not. Sometimes we just go, whew, that was close. Or, wow, I really did good in that interview. Or, oh, I dodged that bullet. No. You have a God that is looking out for you, smiling over you, opening doors. Everything I have comes from Him. Nothing about me, nothing in my life, nothing in my relationships, there is nothing that is not from Him. And He's the one saying, let's do more. Let's do more. Your boundary, your lid is not what He'll do. It's what you'll ask for. Psalm 62:5, for God alone, O my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is from Him. Psalm 37:7, be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Fret not yourself over the one who prospers in his way, over the man who carries out evil desires. There's a widow in the Old Testament. She had been married to a priest. Her husband died, and she had a son. And so son doesn't have a dad. They have no income. They have no money. They call Elisha, and she says, I don't know what to do. Elisha walks through the house because he understood God's doing. He understood there are no limits on God. And he looks around the house, and he just says, what do you have? Just tell me what you have. Don't tell me what you don't have. Tell me what you have. And she says, all we have is this little thing of oil. Oil that they would cook with, oil that they would burn with, oil that was part of their daily life. That's all she had. He goes, perfect. Go get every empty vessel you can find. Go get every bowl. Go around the neighborhood, knock on the doors, find Ziploc and Tupperware containers and Cool Whip containers and everything that could hold oil and go get it. Now, sometimes we're in the place, we think like that. We go, okay, I know God could do it, but I'm not going to waste my time gathering empty things until I see what he's doing. This lady went around and got all the Cool Whip dishes she could get. That's what my grandma used for Tupperware. You walked into her house, and it was every cottage cheese and Cool Whip container for 30 years. She lays them out, and they start pouring oil. And out of this container of what she had, she filled the first one, then the second one, and eventually her container ran out. It ran out when everything was full. God wants to do supernatural miracles in your life, in your health, at work, in your finances, in there is not one thing that he doesn't want to do that. Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God. Isaiah 64:4, from of old no one has heard or perceived by the ear. No one has seen a God besides you who acts for those who wait for him. These guys from thousands of years ago would say it like it's incomprehensible. We've never heard of anything like this. We've never seen anything like this, what God does for those who wait for him. Waiting expectantly, waiting with empty containers, waiting with arms wide open, going, God, I know that the only way this will ever happen is you, and I'm begging for it. I'm praying for it. I am seeking it. There was one man in Jesus' day, and he walks up to Jesus with the same mindset we get into. And he sees him. I think he was blind. I don't remember what his ailment was, but he looked at Jesus and he said, I know you. I know you're the one who heals. And then he said, if you are willing, see, this guy even wanted to put a limitation on it. If you are willing, heal me. And one of the many times you'll read in the New Testament, Jesus says the words from the Old Testament. And he said, I am. When you're reading your New Testament, when you're reading the Gospels, you've got to go through and find all the times that Jesus says, I am. You're asking this morning, are you willing, Lord? Like, I know you can do that for me. I know you can do that for my family. I know you can do that for my church. I know you can do that for my town. I know you can do that. Are you willing? He won't scold you. He won't thump you. He won't look down on you. He just says this morning, I am. I am. Do not let what you have, do not let what you get, do not let the opportunities you seek to stop because you're unwilling to ask. Psalm 135, I wait for the Lord. My soul waits, and in his word I hope. Genesis 49:18, all the way back to the beginning. I wait for you to save me, O Lord. So the question is this. The question is not, can he? The question is not, will he? The question is not, does he want to? The question is not, does he have the ability? The question this morning is, what do you need today? What do you need? What do you want? What do you hope? Question 2 is, are you asking? I'll tell you, it's easy to make a list of what we need. It's easy to make a list of what we want. It's hard, and I don't know why. It's hard for me too. It's hard for us to ask. James says ask. Ask him. Ask him, because he's about to do it. Whenever it happens, he wants you to know he did it, so you'll ask again. What do you need? What do you want? We're going to pray this morning. We're going to ask him to do that. And then we're going to wait expectantly. We're going to wait at the window. When somebody asks you, what are you doing? You're like, I'm waiting on the God who saves me. I'm waiting on the God who heals me. I'm waiting on the God who forgives me. I'm waiting on the God who created me. I'm waiting on the God who opens doors for me. I'm waiting on the one who said he's coming. And believe me, he's coming. Will you pray with me? Father, this morning we just say it. This is what I need. This is what I want. We are asking you this morning, Lord, show up and show out. Come and do what only you can do. We will wait, and when you move, we will celebrate your goodness